Photography as a medium of visual communications is fairly young, less than 200 years old. And initially the first cameras were not used to take pictures, but to learn and understand how we see. The camera obscura, referenced in Chinese texts dating back to about 400 BC and in the writings of Aristotle in 330 BC, was more formally invented, or at least used as a scientific tool to study optics, by Arab scholar Ibn al-Haytham in the early part of the 11th century. The camera obscura is the precursor to the pinhole camera, and he used it to demonstrate how light can be used to project an image onto a flat surface. Now, by the mid-1600s, finely crafted lenses were being developed, and artists began using the camera obscura to help them draw and paint elaborate real-world images. We'll learn more about photography and cameras in this episode of Artifact of the Week. So while the camera obscura may have gotten us started a long time ago, we had to wait until the 1820s before anyone attempted to use a camera to capture a permanent image. But in that brief span of history, from the 1820s to today, photography, which comes from the Greek for painting with light, has evolved from a crude process using caustic chemicals and cumbersome equipment to a simple yet sophisticated means of creating and sharing images instantly. Photography has been a part of the Scouting program since the founding of the Boy Scouts of America. And the Photography Merit Badge was one of the original 57 merit badges created by the BSA in 1910. Over time, it has remained a popular merit badge, being earned by 11,618 Scouts in 2020, which makes it the 18th most earned merit badge last year. Through the merit badge requirements, Scouts learn and practice the basic skills of photography, from how a camera works, how an exposure is created, and how to compose amazing photographs. With these skills, many of our scouting memories are captured and shared through those photographs. The stories of Scouts and Scouters are donated almost daily to the National Scouting Museum, as well as many other museums and archives all over the country to showcase and document the activities and programs of the BSA. They also illustrate the impact our movement has made on our society. Photographs are also shared by packs, troops, crews, and ships with friends and family to document our experiences, to tell our stories, and to recruit others to join the fun and excitement we have experienced as Scouts. Now, of course, none of these pictures or the ability to share them would be possible without a camera. The first successful roll film handheld camera, the Kodak, was launched publicly in the summer of 1888. It came preloaded with enough film for 100 exposures and could easily be carried and handheld during its operation. "You press a button, we do the rest," inventor George Eastman promised in advertising slogans for his revolutionary new invention. Now, after the film was exposed, meaning all 100 shots were taken, the whole camera was returned to the Kodak Company in Rochester, New York. The film was removed and developed, prints were made, and a new roll of photographic film was reinserted back into the camera. The camera and prints were then returned to you, the consumer, for the whole cycle to be repeated. Eastman received a patent number 388,850 for the camera's shutter, and the trademark numbered 15,825 for the Kodak name on September 4, 1888. The immediate triumph of the camera prompted Eastman to change the name of his company from Eastman Dry Plate and Film Company to Eastman Kodak Company in 1892. Eastman Kodak went on to also produce the first BSA branded camera in 1929. This folding bellows camera was identical in design to other cameras being produced by Kodak as well as other manufacturers at the time. Now, the Kodak Scout camera was manufactured by Kodak from 1929 to 1934, and 3 versions were made. One for the Boy Scouts, one for the Girl Scouts, and one for the Campfire Girls. The Kodak Scout takes 1 5/8 by 2.5 inch images on 127 roll film. The viewfinder rotates depending on whether the photographer wants to take a vertical or horizontal picture. The Boy Scout version of the camera is olive drab in color, with green bellows and the official Boy Scout emblem engraved on the bed. The words Boy Scout are located on the shutter face. Now, the National Scouting Museum has several of these in the collection, and one is on display in the main gallery. Over the years, many other cameras were licensed by the BSA as the official camera of the Boy Scouts. The museum has several in our collection, including this Mimo Boy Scout camera manufactured by the Ansco Company in the late 1920s and early 1930s. The Mimo was capable of taking 50 18 by 23 centimeter exposures on standard 35mm film. Typically fitted with an f6.3 Ilex Centra lens, the shutter provided speeds of 1/25th to 1/250th of a second, plus a bulb setting for longer manual exposures. Features included an automatic exposure counter, direct viewfinder mounted on top, and a sliding film advance lever on the back. The camera was originally sold for $15. In the 1950s, the George Herbert Company of Chicago manufactured the 620 official Boy Scout of America camera. It was a simple to operate black plastic box camera with an eye-level viewfinder. It featured a fixed focal length lens and simple snapshot shutter. In addition to the BSA model, there was also a Cub Scout branded model of this camera. The George Herbert Company also manufactured the 127 model official BSA camera in the late 1950s. This snapshot camera was made of plastic with the official Boy Scout logo located on the front of the camera. Now, it was a design variation of the Mark 27 camera without the integrated flash unit, but it was identical to the same company's Satellite 127 model. The camera featured the built-in eye-level viewfinder, a fixed focus lens, a simple instantaneous shutter, 2 aperture settings so you could shoot with color or black and white film, and a detachable synchronized flash. It used the same 127 roll film. Another 1950s official camera is the Scout 120 flash, made by the Fotac Corp of Chicago, Illinois. Now, this metal box camera with simple lens and shutter was licensed and sold through the National Supply Service. The Scout 120 used Type 120 film, and around the lens is printed precision 110mm Zeller lens. There are several other names of this same model design, and it's known as the Macy 120, the Trailblazer 120, the Marksman and Traveler, and the Spectator Flash. During the 2001 National Jamboree, a special Jamboree branded camera was sold to participants at the Jamboree Trading Post. This 35mm Instamatic camera was loaded with 24 exposures and came with a built-in flash. At the 2019 World Scout Jamboree, Eagle Scout Matthew Monroe was outfitted with this Canon Rebel T6 to document his experiences with scouts from around the world as they gathered at the Summit Bechtel Reserve to celebrate scouting. Here are some of the images that he captured. As we all know, cameras and camera technology has evolved and improved. Today, some of the best handheld cameras available are actually a major feature and a selling point of your smartphone. Speaking of smartphones, here's an interesting tidbit. In 1992, Eagle Scout Eric Fossum developed the little sensor that allowed cameras to be smaller, more economical, and gentler on battery life. Commonly known as the CMOS Image Center, originally it was intended for applications in space, but is largely used today for capturing images ranging from smartphones to small, intricate medical cameras. Going back to the Photography Merit Badge for a moment, the final requirement is to investigate careers related to photography. Well, back in 1972, as an 8-year-old Cub Scout, I had the opportunity to tour the television studios of the Armed Forces Radio and Television Network in Seoul, South Korea. I became mesmerized by the technology of television. When I was 11, a few years later, I earned the Photography Merit Badge as a Boy Scout. One of the requirements back then was to make a pinhole camera and take a photo. Now, those two scouting experiences really did change my life. I fell in love with the idea of telling stories through pictures and thought television was the best way to do that. I took a broadcasting class in high school where I did the weather forecast 3 days a week for our school announcements. I went on to earn a college degree in broadcast production, and for more than 30 years, I have been telling stories using video and still photography professionally. It all started with a field trip and a merit badge. Well, that's all we have time for today. Please join us next time as we showcase more artifacts in history from the National Scouting Museum, Philmont Scout Ranch.